is okay to initially blame. I'll give you an example. If we are sitting at a red light in our car, minding our own business, and a drunk driver comes and smashes us into the back of the car, it's only natural that we say, that's your fault. Yeah. You know, I was, you know, in the right, and that's your fault. And so to blame initially, if someone slaps you across the face and it hurts, ow, that hurt, you're at fault. Yes.
Yeah, my kids do it all the time. He hit me. You're going to see it in a couple hours.
I can't wait.
Holland hit me. You know, like that's the initial child response. No one's, you know, that's what naturally is happening.
That's it. And so if we take that out to the macro and go, okay, governments are behaving terribly. Yes or yes. That's right. Like, yes, there is crazy stuff going on. But while we continue to blame, so my teacher would say, look, being in blame momentarily, no problem. Because, yes, crazy stuff is going on. But it's where we sit in it. If we sit in blame for days, weeks, months, years, decades, sometimes even a whole lifetime, people will sit in blame.
Yes.
They are, as said, electing themselves to be a victim of, and that is not a state of creatorship.
Got it.
So if we look at the governments, yes, they're behaving badly, but if we're just going to continue doing this and wait for them to change,
we're going to stay in the same muck.
We're not being creators at all. It's like, okay, that's terrible what you're doing, but I'm going to drop the blame and create.
Yes.
Because while we're blaming, we're not creating.
Right. And what I'm hearing is it's a state change.
Yes.
There's a state change out of the victimhood into creatorhood, into this owning of our creation, of our power to create. But for someone who's in it, for someone who's got that story, my mom did this, my dad did that.
Yes.
How, when you take someone through that, how do you change their state?
And that's a beautiful question, and it's very important because, you know, when we deliver this work, we see that the majority of people can see the mechanics of blame and go, oh my God, and want to drop it quite swiftly. And then there are some that cannot. They would like to be free of the effects of being a victim in blame, but for whatever reason, they just can't. They have to keep blaming.
Right.
And we say that is absolutely fine. All that is a major build-up of hurt. That's all that is. And what a person needs there is more one-on-one care for them to be heard deeply through their story and all the upset that is there.
Wow.
And then when that that upset is dissolved through duplication, through empathy, then they're more likely to take responsibility.
Yes.
A being can take responsibility and accountability relative to the amount of freedom in their space that they have, or conversely, how much heavy energy is sitting there.
Right.
Do you know? So when someone's like, oh, fuck that, they're wrong, it's just because there's a lot of hurt there. Do you know? And when that is moved and they sort of shift into responsibility, then they can consider or move into dropping blame. And moving into creator. Look, another part of blame that I do want to mention is that while we're blaming, we're actually refusing, this is what I saw recently, we're refusing to turn up as loving beings.
Right.
Because, you know, someone whacks us over the face, you know, or, you know, calls us a bitch and storms out, you know, like there's something going on for that person to behave in a less than ideal manner or badly or in a painful way. There's something going on for them. And while we just blame, we're refusing to be human and feel in and go, hey, you know, that hurt, but wonder what's happening for them.
Right.
Like, how can they behave like that? Like, what's actually gone on for them? So we're refusing to do that. And we call ourselves loving. Do you know, I'm a loving human. I love love. We want to love. Oh, but no, I'm not going to love that person.
Yeah, it's all love until it's not love.
And I'm not loving them. And I have I have a righteous victim card here. No, I don't need to be loving to that person. You know, that's what's happening.
Yes.
Amongst, spiritual people, that are talking all love, and there's a lot of blame going out, which is basically a refusal to be a loving being. It's a refusal.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's not right or wrong. But again, looking at the consequences, we have a lot of people not creating very powerfully.
Yeah, and we get an opportunity to take a look at our ownership in any situation that we create. And I also feel that sometimes the person closest to the situation isn't the one that's going to be the most loving. So when people come to workshops like Humanity or weekends like Humanity, or when someone comes to a Sacred Sons event, it's like getting out of that environment, environmental change, being met with love, because I don't carry that story about you that maybe the person closest to you does. I think sometimes that alone is necessary.
100%.
To be able to see a full spectrum of what's happening.
100%.
Like you have to kind of remove the person from the situation, and then we put them back in their full cup. They can come back in with that love that we speak of.
That's absolutely right. It's, you know, another way to say that, I often say to people who are in a relationship, or, you know, when there's tightness in family memberships, it's like, don't expect to get your healing in there. Do you know, but that's what we're demanding. Make me feel better.
Be everything.
You hurt me, and now make me feel better. Apologise. And it's like, no, the healing is not going to come there. Go and get your healing elsewhere. Get healed elsewhere, and then come back in and be able to hold space better in that tight relationship. But yeah, we desperately need to go to safe spaces. All of us need to go to safe spaces where we can let go and be held. And I'm in one at the moment. I'm in the most amazing container. I'm a client in this container where I can just be totally held for my thing, and it's invaluable. Invaluable, especially in leadership, to have people be able to, you know, for us just to drop and not need to hold and be held. It's very important.
Because even in all of the wisdom that you have accumulated and in all the workshops that you've done, you also recently spoke on Instagram about how this has been one of the hardest years of your life, last year in particular. And so, like, what is it like having all the knowingness and all the tools and still finding yourself in, you know, hard situations? I think that's also a myth we get to burst for some people. That, like, this is life. Life is always happening. Regardless. And what is it like from you in your position to also feel some of the energies of, like, you know, the heaviness?
I'm hearing a little thing that David Avocado Wolf, a friend of mine, used to, or probably still says, another level, another devil. Do you know? And it doesn't matter where we're growing into, there'll be the next challenge to meet us at that level. I do believe that challenge generally gets easier the stronger we get. We can meet it more easily. But the power does match ours. And I think, and then the gifts and the shifts and the wonderful blessings that come from coming through that challenge do meet us at that level as well. And yes, I went through a terrible year last year, and I, you know, was in a lot of blame because of what happened. And I knew what was happening to me while I was blaming, but I kept checking in with myself, and I was like, I can't move this yet. I'm still that upset. That's okay, Chrissie. It will move. It will move. You know, I just knew it would. You know, and it did. And now I can look back on that situation, and there is no blame. There's no blame. I'm like, thank you for bringing in this super challenging experience. Because I learned so much out of it. And I think it really has birthed, you know, the best version of me yet. And I think the fruits of that are on their way, do you know? But it was, like, we do need to go through a challenge. I mean, this is, as you guys know, and, you know, you offer in your experiences, these initiation processes are all about challenge. It's meant to be challenging, you know, and, you know, I often say that to people when they come into Chulyo Chaka Sweat Lodge with us. In the Andes, when we do Chulyo Chaka, mind you, there's no briefing. You get chucked in, and people don't know what they're going to, you know, what's going to go down. And I've watched that, and I'm going, no, I'm going to talk to my people first. And I say to them, do you know, like, when we get in there and the mind starts to say, oh, this is hard. It's like, hard. That's why we're going in there. We're going in to be challenged. Expect the challenge. Do you know, like, expect it. Do you know, I think our Western, cozy, convenient, you know, lifestyles and minds have made us so adverse to challenge. We don't want it. We want everything to be nice and cozy and super simple. And I often say that's why we have, a humanity, a society of adult babies. It seems to be that way. People who are super offended at the drop of a hat, can't hold challenge, can't hold their brothers and sisters. You know, it's, you know, sort of a patho-adolescence. And that's because we're not being challenged enough. You know, I really do think that's where we find out how far our wings spread out. That's where we find out how tall we actually are.
Absolutely.
Is in challenge. And that certainly is what happened for me last year.
Yeah. And for so many of us, it comes through heartbreak. I think especially for young boys, for young men, you know, because this is the work that I do, it's like around that first heartbreak is where we make the choice to turn cold. And to shut off that flow of love, you know what I mean? And it is a choice in many ways. And then it becomes like a way of being.
Yep.
And so we have the awareness that it's not working that way.
And it's so interesting you say, and we have that choice. Do you know, like we know that the truth is that at any given moment we have choice. But as we're coming through, I think our journey on a soul level, and with Wetika in the space, it very often feels like we don't have a choice. Do you know, like where, you know, we feel like the only way we can operate is through maybe continuing an addiction or continuing with poor behaviour, or, you know, when we're arguing with our partner, it feels like there's no choice. We just have to push, and, you know, and it's not the truth. We do actually have choice in every moment.